What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to the 2025 Prog Tag. Vinyl tag, CD tag, cassette tag, 8-track tag, whatever you want to do, we're going to do it. So, I did the 2024 Prog vinyl tag last year and wanted to do it again this year. I have 15 questions. Now, before I get into them, look, I know it's been tag saturation all over YouTube and in the vinyl community and all that type of stuff. I wanted to let that sort of, rest a little bit, give it some air to breathe. There's a lot of great tags out there based on certain genres, based on certain artists, all that type of stuff. And for those who know me, know I'm a huge fan of progressive music. Now, this will be called the 2025 Prog Tag. But before I, people get all wild about prog and all that type of stuff, the goal of this is that I have 15 questions that I believe are accessible for people to answer, even if you aren't a prog nerd or, you don't have posters of, Keith Emerson gooping all over your face or anything like that. I am purposely going to be using the term progressive music, not necessarily prog or prog rock. I have often said that progressive rock is a genre that it includes a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of people that are like, that's not prog, you can't have this, blah, blah, all that different stuff. I am simply calling this progressive music, and there is progressive music today, and there is progressive music 60, 70, 80 years ago. If you want to say that the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper is a progressive rock album, more power to you. I think that's awesome. If you want to call the Stranglers prog, go for it, man. We need some more post-punk up in here anyway. So the point is that these are 15 questions, and as the tag owner, if you will, I think it is super cool when people talk about their interpretation of progressive music, their interpretation of prog and its subgenres and all that type of stuff, right? Nobody wants 20 different questions that are answered by Genesis and ELP and Yes and King Crimson and all that all the time. So again, I encourage you to think a little bit more open-mindedly about these questions. And again, I think they are pretty accessible. And with some of my answers that I'll show, I think we'll show that. Before I dive into these questions, I do want to give a shout out to Bill over at the Vinylverse. Bill sort of was in charge of, unofficially, whatever you want to call it. He did a Prog Tag a number of years ago for a couple of years. And then was kind enough to work together with me on this one this year. He gave me sort of the freedom or, to say, go do it. But I do want to give him a shout out because he did this for so long. And he had some great questions that he sent my way, which is just really cool. So Bill, I really appreciate you. Hope you jump on this, and I hope you like. So 15 questions all about prog rock, progressive music, whatever you want to call it. So number one, your favorite progressive release or purchase of 2024. So even if you didn't get any new progressive music in 2024, or release of 2024, maybe something that you purchased in 2024. Well, I just did my top albums of the year several weeks ago, and my number one album of 2024 was True by John Anderson and the Band Geeks. Yes, I love this album. I know a lot of people do, but this was number one out of all the music I listen to. So obviously it's got to be number one for my prog stuff. Number two, your latest discovery or deep dive. So maybe that is a band or artist that you've recently been like, oh, I've started listening to them and they're great, I'm going in on them. Or someone you've just been, maybe it's like the heavy listening, heavy rotations, all that type of stuff. And for me, and again, I'm really trying to switch it up and be pretty diverse in my selections here. But to me, one of the albums that blew my mind last year was Blood Incantation. Now, yes, this is a little bit more death metal-y, progressive metal type stuff for sure. But certainly has these elements of some space rock involved, Pink Floyd type moments. And then someone said something along the lines of, their most recent album before this wasn't really death metal at all. It was almost more like an ambient album. And that kind of got my panties in the bunch in all of the right ways. So now I want to kind of go back in time and check out some of the other Blood Incantation stuff to see what else is out there. Number 3, an artist or musician that we lost in 2024. Give a quick Google if you don't remember. There's a lot of people that we did lose, unfortunately. And if they're not, Prog, that's okay too. But one I think that a lot of people didn't talk about enough, especially because this band was so important for really the proto-prog, the foundation of progressive music, all that type of stuff in the 60s, was the Moody Blues and us losing Mike Pinder, who really sort of embodied what became almost the template for the mellotron in so many ways, which is such an important instrument for progressive music. So Mike Pinder, we lost him in early 2024, and from the great Moody Blues. Number 4, an album celebrating 50 years this year. So an album that was released in 1975. Well, I'm going to do a double shot of sort of the obvious pick here. Fly By Night and Caress of Steel. 2 amazing albums. I've talked about them a lot in a Rush video that I did, but I'm finding myself actually kind of liking Caress of Steel a bit more than Fly By Night. I mean, maybe that's the more like proggy pick, but they're both amazing. It's Rush, you can't go wrong. So yeah, 2 albums, double shotting from 75. Number 5, show an album that represents a progressive subgenre, right? So, if you just have like prog rock, but then, what's a subgenre? Well, maybe it's progressive metal, maybe it's space rock, maybe it's jazz fusion, maybe it's, something completely different. Well, my choice, which you might not expect here, my choice is progressive soul, and I think the best progressive soul album ever that you can get is Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul. Now, yeah, a lot of people are like, this man is doing a prog tag and he is showing Isaac Hayes. Look, when you got the 18-minute and 40-second by the time I get to Phoenix, I mean, there is absolutely nothing like it. So this was my deep dive into soul music. I absolutely love Isaac Hayes, and to me, there's nothing better than Hot Buttered Soul. Absolutely great stuff for progressive soul as the subgenre. Number 6, show an instrumental album or song. Well, it's instrumental with an asterisk because I guess you do have a narrator who, of course, is the central scrutinizer. Anyway, I'm going with Joe's Garage from Act 3, and I'm going to go with Watermelon and Easter Hay. One of my favorite Zappa moments. Great guitar moment for sure. That was just one of those songs that sort of came to mind. Watermelon and Easter Hay from Frank Zappa from Joe's Garage as my instrumental pick. Show your favorite record label. So this could be either you just love the design of it, you love the history of it, you love the artists that they had, maybe the way they treat artists. Again, open to interpretation, but a favorite record label. Well, for me, and I really wish I had like an original on this label, but for me, I've always just been in love with the Charisma label. Again, I know that for you label nerds out there who have like original UK stuff, this is a later rendition of it, but I've always loved Charisma and that sort of Joker man on there looking dope. So yeah, big fan of Charisma as a label, but feel free to show whatever you'd like. Number 8, a local hero. So show an album by an artist from your home. This could be home country, home province, home state, hometown, home continent, home hemisphere, whatever you want to do, whatever feels like a hometown hero or a local hero for you. Feel free to use that. Well, I'm going to go to Youngstown in a band that a lot of people don't talk about. I've not seen them shown really much online at all, and that is Glass Harp. Yeah, maybe not capital P prog, but definitely progressive, a little bit psychedelic, certainly some pop influences. But really, this was the band that was known for kicking off Phil Keaggy, who had a huge career after this. But yeah, Glass Harp out of Youngstown, Ohio is my local hero pick. Number 9, it bothers me that this artist isn't more appreciated. So show an artist or a band that really deserves more attention and credit. Well, for prog purists, I think people love this band, but also I think they get kind of poo-pooed because they're just, I don't know, they're not as in your face. They don't blow you away with their sound or musicality. But for me, every time I listen to this band, I take something more from it. And they just make me feel good. And I'm talking about Camel. This is the Snow Goose, probably my favorite Camel release. I don't think the band name helps them at all, Camel. But at the same time, they're always sort of in that second or third tier of prog goodness. And to me, I just think they're just spectacular. So Camel, they're my pick for it. Bothers me that they're not more appreciated. Number 10, The Contrarian. Share your unpopular opinion or album or lineup or just some kind of unpopular contrarian opinion about progressive music. And for me, it is that progressive music is alive and well, almost too much today. I know a lot of people are living in the 70s and will never get back to that, 1970 to 1975 golden era of progressive rock. But there is so much music out there. There are so many labels. You talk about Inside Out, you talk about Charisma, you talk about all these other labels that are out there. You talk about a band like this, Jupiter Fungus out of Greece, with one of the most impressive classic proggy records of 2024. This blew my mind. So anyway, my unpopular contrarian opinion is that progressive rock is alive and well and arguably better today than it's ever been. That's my contrarian pick. Number 11, who did it better? So 2 options here. You can either show a progressive band covering a non-prog song, or an artist covering a prog song, or basically I'm just asking to show a cover song. How about that? So I am going to go to the Neil Morse Band with their release from several years ago, Innocence in Danger, where they do a proggy cover of Bridge Over Troubled Water, of course, from Simon and Garfunkel. I think it's a great version. I think musically, they're really creative with the arrangements, but also still pay a great tribute to the original song. The vocals are great with it. I think it's a great version. So yeah, show a cover version of a song. You can be pretty open with that. Number 12, still going strong. So an artist, a progressive artist who is still cranking out good stuff today, or still touring, they're still going strong. Well, for me, this was my favorite album of 2 years ago, and it's going to be Peter Gabriel, both in art and what he is doing, but also getting a chance to see him live and how he performs and how he's still singing and just killing it. It's just awesome to see Peter still going strong today, again, both in his releases and in his performances. Number 13, that's not prog, is it? So, show an album or an artist that could be prog or not. And I do say, get some panties and some bunches here and have some fun with this. Again, if people want to say, that Deep Purple or Uriah Heep is prog, I would agree with that to a certain extent. If you want to show Sabotage by Black Sabbath, 1000%, I would totally agree with that. Well, my choice is an album that I think is 100% prog and no one talks about it, and that is the debut from The Tubes. I love this album to death. And this is so proggy. This is proggier than most stuff out there. So yeah, I think a lot of people are not going to say The Tubes were prog, but I would, especially on this debut album from 1975. What a band and what an album that is. Number 14, girls don't like prog, do they? So show an album by an artist that has a female member or features a woman in a track on the album, something, right? Let's show some support. I don't think, women are talked about as prog nerds very much, but I think they should be. So my choice is going to be from the German band Frumpy and Inga Rumpf, lead singer of Frumpy. She kills it. She's amazing. Represents some women here in Prague. Frumpy, Inga Rumpf. What a name. All right. And then last question, an artist or band that you want to dive into or get back into this year. So the progressive artist or band that you're like, you know what, I got to get back into them, or I'd really like to dive into them. And the artists I'm going to pick, they've been on my radar forever. I've liked everything I've heard. I just need to go back in time and pick up more of their stuff. But to me, I think it's going to be the year of Big Big Train. I loved this album a lot, The Likes of Us, which was released last year, but they have so much material. I think, the death of David Longdon was so tragic and lost such a huge voice and contributor to the band. But I'm a huge fan of Nick DiVirgilio and a huge fan of all the other members of this band. And I just think that they do everything I've heard I love, and I want to get back into a lot of their stuff this year. So if you have any recommendations on where to go from here, please let me know. So there's the 15th question, an artist or band that you want to dive into this year or get back into. So there you go. There are your 15 questions for the 2025 Prog Tag. Have some fun with this one. Don't take it too seriously. Hope to see some people jump on this. If you do jump on it, feel free to let me know. Let me know what you think of the questions and the picks and all that good stuff. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you on the next one. Have fun with this one, people. And yeah, we'll see you soon. See you later. Bye.